So on that, guys, we're going to dive deep into this. These are notes that we actually, if you guys follow us on Instagram, you'd see that pretty much nearly every morning we go through and we have our morning routine priming. Then after that, we've just got onto this latest app, Blinkist, right?
So good.
Blinkist. Seriously, if you're a reader, the first person I thought of was Robbie, but if you're a big reader, download this app and it basically will review the book in 15 to 20 minutes and give you the key points. So what we do...
Yeah, so if you're short on time and you don't have time to read, also a good thing to pick up.
Right? Yeah. And we go through, and that may be in the car or wherever. So maybe... Seriously, when I was like, I suppose still a million miles an hour, but it was cooking the dishes, it was washing the clothes, it was vacuuming the floor, it was driving to work, whatever it was, it's downtime, right? Make the most of your downtime where you know you don't actively need to be talking to someone or doing something. Have something in your ears and be constantly learning. But what we do, another tip, which works really well for us, is one person will sort of sit on the floor and just listen, and the other person is on here scribing notes.
You can see this as Reese scribing.
Right? Beautiful handwriting. So
I'm pretty bad too.
In all honesty, this one, whoever's up here scribing, if you're in a relationship, right, the one scribing is going to take the most in.
Yes.
Right? From what we've learned in the last 2 or 3 or 4, wherever we've scribed, that the person scribing is the one that's going to take the most notes. So we want to share with you just what we've learned from that 15 minutes, 20 minutes on here, but the art of happiness. So I think ultimately, we live in a world where there is so much external things going on. COVID right now, your partner, your family, your work, the random person on the street, the person that cuts you off while you're driving your car. We cannot ultimately be in control of everyone else's actions, but what we can control is how we perceive their actions and how we allow that to impact us.
Yeah.
You ever hear Roland or anything?
Yeah, like I think of happiness, and happiness is a state, right? And it's an emotional state of what we all have and how we feel happy. I don't know, the word happiness in itself, I think just everyone's just striving for this. I just want to be happy, I just want to be happy, I just want to be happy. When happiness actually comes from our inner self, and the actions that we do is where I truly believe the happiness comes from. As simple as smiling. Like, literally just smiling. I've never heard anyone, like, try it right now. If you're watching this, just smile. Smile. You instantly feel happy. Smile. Yeah.
Right.
Like, you cannot not feel happy. And there's actually, it's scientifically proven that happiness, like the chemicals and stuff, get released when you smile. But I'm going on something different because I just wanted to mention that.
I think you actually use the most muscles in your body when you smile. Right, something over that.
Alright, let's go through our book review.
So the first thing, external things cannot create lasting happiness. External things cannot create lasting happiness. So I think they've got an example of the lotto, and also mental state can screw your view of the world. So, like, for example, the lotto. Someone who wins lotto, chances are they're going to be extremely, happy for 6 months, 12 months, but I think the percentage is something like over 90% of people that actually win the lotto in 3-4 years are actually broke and miserable, right? So, external view of the world, same thing. Like, if someone cuts you off, something happens to you, someone reacts a certain way, that can ultimately impact your view of the world. So really, it's just external things cannot create lasting happiness. So how do you create lasting happiness? Ultimately, that needs to come from inside. If you've ever been to any third world countries, we've both had the pleasure of doing 30, 50 plus countries. The people that I met over in Zimbabwe, which is actually one of the 3 poorest countries in the world, are literally the most happiest people I've ever seen.
So happy.
Right? And it's crazy. So what this also goes...
Yeah.
That wealth isn't going to be the one thing that brings you happiness.
Yeah.
Right? We all, like happiness is, like your happiness in life is ultimately going to be dictated around your own inner thoughts and the way you can control them, and also the relationships you had with other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's...
Yeah, and Simon seemed, I'm going off this, I know we wanted to do with the book review, but this is something I've been practicing, God, for the last year now when I heard Simon Sinek talk about it, and I've shared it with you a few times, is that we always talk about, again, this happiness thing, and then it's like, well, where do we actually get happiness from, right? Because happiness then leads down into joy. And then when we look at joy, it's actually, what is joy? So when do we actually feel the most fulfilled? what fulfills you, because through that fulfillment is where you're getting this joy. Now, breaking it down even further is actually looking at the quality relationships that you have, because it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And you can have all the, it's coming to me as I'm talking, you can have all the money in the world, right? All the wealth, again, the external stuff, all the money in the world, you can live where you want, you can drive what you want, all that jazz. But if you didn't have, and no one was around you, like picture that, you live in this amazing house, with amazing car, and all this money, but you didn't have any friends or family members. Would you truly feel that inner happiness? Would you? I know that I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, because what about if you're a complete introvert and you actually don't like spending time with people whatsoever?
Yeah, but you think that even introverts? This is a good question, because, I'm an outgoing introvert, and...
Yeah, but people just don't like people.
Yeah, but what happens with them? Isolation is a good thing right now. I'm sure that they still need to have some belonging and some relationship with someone. Because if now we're going even now further, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of the most important things in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is connection. So even an introvert has to have connection. Otherwise, they'll always feel like something is missing in there.
Now, this is interesting, because another one of these things actually talks about, down here, talks about religious beliefs, right, and spirituality. So the connection, right, I think connection is going to come from other people, but I believe that for a lot of people, connection can also come from a higher self or beliefs, right? So it may not be God, it may just be your connection with nature. It could be your connection with, it could be connection with reading a book. It could be a connection through social media, right? So I think at the end of the day, your relationship, that can stem into not just a physical being, but can also into so many other areas as well. Yeah. Right? Because I don't know, I just like, I always
like this, because this is challenging, good, and I love the challenges.
Other, right? Yeah. And the belief, but at the end of the day, that was one of the things that spirituality, happier families, better health, not just specific religion, brings you closer to humanity, to sort of change. So back to this romantic love.
And if you are an introvert and you're super introverted, do let us know how you would feel if you had no one around you and it was just you and your own. Because I would like to know. That was a great question. Tell me.
So the next one, 5. Suffering is a natural way of life. It's sort of like best change suffering unnecessary, replay negative events. So what this is sort of saying is I suppose what we've already said, and we won't go into it because I don't want to keep on repeating myself, but at the end of the day, you are going to be, there's so many external forces, and if you keep replaying the same old story, right, I think if you've followed our last couple of weeks when we've done it, there's been the car accident, the car, someone reversing, I showed the other one of someone side-scraping my car, and there's so many different factors that you could keep on replaying in your, life, in your mind, and, same thing, pose the question to you. What do you think about most? Most of the time, 95% of the thoughts are the same thought we spent thinking of yesterday, right? So, what thoughts are you keep on thinking, and could you be thinking happier thoughts? Could you be focusing on the positivity of your niece's birthday, of people smiling, of happiness, of a book, of butterflies flying around, of the place you live in that you've got running water? There is so much that you could possibly be grateful for, right? You may be on the job seeker, holy shit, kudos to you making $500, whatever it is, per week to sit around and twiddle your thumbs. There is so much that you could be grateful for in this time as well.
Yeah, and that's a huge point, because as you're talking about it, I'm so glad you touched on the gratitudes, because we always start our lives off with gratitudes. I feel like if you always wake up with a grateful heart, or you always remind yourself to have that grateful heart, that I don't feel like we could ever really get so angry. Do you know what I mean? We would always find that inner happiness when we practice the art of gratitude, when we practice the art of the happiness. But it always comes down to gratitude, and through meditation as well, reminding ourselves to be present. We were actually on the way back, I was in the car, and I just said to my sister, I was like, hey, what's one thing you're grateful for today? What's one thing that you've done well? And what's one thing you're looking forward to? And this is something we do quite often when we start, when we're eating our dinner, we always ask each other, hey, what are you grateful for? What have you done well today? And what are you looking forward to? And that always, I know, gets me into the art of happiness and reminds me. And that always comes down to the gratitudes. Yeah.
Love it.
Mm.
Eliminate negative state, stop from getting potential state, focus on the positive, habitual, depress the sort of financial at work, choose not focus on the which is basically what we just said before.
Yep.
Dalai Lama takes a lot of change.
Yeah.
I've got shifting perspective, tree can't grow strong roots at the time. So one of the main...
I love that one.
Right.
That's why we have it in red.
So a tree can't grow strong roots in the midst of a storm. So point being is that you can't control, because I know, and I've had enough people tell me before, well, yeah, it's easy for you, Reese, or it's easy for this, or it's easy for that, right? It's like you see the glory, not the story, and I don't expect you to be able to go, cool, you know, I've got no money, boom, change your state, and change things like it's a skill, right? Same as you learn to ride a bike, same as you learn to write a book, same as you learn to write, to read, to use an iPhone for the first time, to use the internet, whatever it may be, you know, it's still, no matter what it is, it's still a skill. So changing your state, right, focusing on the positive, we're not, you know, we're not here going, hey, do it straight away, but we're here to hopefully help you understand that this is a skill that you need to learn, and here's a few resources that have helped us do this, and that, you know, that we're here to help. So, you know, tree can't grow strong roots in the midst of a storm. Just be okay with the process, right? Be okay with learning about it and growing through it, and maybe asking for help, right? I had a coaching call with the team earlier this morning, and one guy wasn't, you know, wasn't performing to the best of his ability, previous things, and he had a junior underneath him. So he actually put it to the team and said, hey guys, I actually want to step away from being a senior in this role right now with this person and relinquish those overrides and those fees and everything else that he gets on that junior, and give that junior to someone else, another senior, to manage. Now, point of this story is, I've got so much more respect for him for the pure fact that he was okay to recognize that he needed help in certain areas, and that from him, you know, maybe an ego thing and trying to be like, no, it's okay, I got this, when really inside he know he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's an ego thing. So for him to go, Reese, hey, what are your thoughts on this? Would you be okay if I basically gave away some money to someone else that could do a better job while I focus on what I need to focus on to move forward, right? So, like, and it gives me goosebumps. Like I said to him on the call, and there was about 10 of us, and I'm like, I got so much more respect for you that you were okay to admit that, and you didn't let your ego get in the way and sabotage someone else. Now, this could be, right, this could be you in a relationship, this could be you in your financial position, this could be you in your family, in your environment, in your social network, where you're not okay to admit that you need help, which is, right, like, we've all been there before, right, but there's going to be a decision you're going to make, and an awareness, or something's going to happen, hopefully it's this live, that spurs you to go, it's okay to ask for help, and I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to YouTube it. I'm going to find some help in some area on what I'm struggling with. So that was a complete rant. But
it was, and I'm going to add something on that too. I love this though. We just rant. We get on here and we want to share stuff, and then it comes into other things. I used to struggle, like, and I was using that word because it was challenging for me to ask for help. Until one day I actually read a book about asking for help. There is a book out there called How to Ask for Help. And I read that book, and it taught me that it was one simple, actually, page that had said this. How do you feel when someone asks you for help? Right? I know if you ask me, like, hey Mel, can I get you help with something? I'm like, yeah, sure, babe, how can I help you? And I love helping you, right? It makes me feel better helping you. Now, when the book said that, it's like, cool. Now think about when you're not asking people for help, you're actually taking that away from them, of that feeling of making them feel good for them helping you. So why aren't you asking for help? And I went, oh my God. Do you get that?
Yeah. Well, like, on the back of that as well, if we were to flip over a few other pages, right, and we spoke about, I think it's this one, influence, right? And they literally talk about, I don't know where it is, what shortcuts, much more willing to, so the turkey shortcut, much more willing to do a favor if it's for a reason, right? So what it spoke about in that, long story short, is that when you do have an exchange of value there, or I'm asking, I'm asking Mel for help, I know that in future, if I'm the one that needs help, if she ever needs help, she's going to be more comfortable coming back to me. right, it actually builds trust.
Yes.
Right, it actually builds rapport.
Yes.
Now, how does Mel feel, right? If I'm over here and I've asked Mel for help, and now she gets to help me, how do you think she feels about this connection? Right? She'd feel better because she's added value to me and she's helped me through something. Right? So, I think that's what you're already saying.
Yeah.
Same shit. I'm just realizing it.
We need to do hand claps again, baby.
So
Let's wake up. Okay, so I'm just going to add, because I think this is really important. The tree can't grow strong roots at the time of a storm. I know you said that. I'm just repeating it because we will sum up this line at the end of just practicing and practicing and practicing. Because that's what it means. When an instant happens, like, you know, something as simple as the smiling, when you wake up in the morning, just wake up with a smile. And smile. And smile. Like now, as this is dropping. Keep talking, baby.
Smile! So I think literally that's it. We're going to wrap it up there. But guys, we want to, encourage you to download that app, Blinkist. It's a free, there's like 20 odd books there you can listen to for free. And then once you listen to them, you can actually sign up for a 7-day free trial and you can go through that. I guarantee if you can just make that commitment to maybe spending 20 minutes, giving yourself 20 minutes, owning your morning, right, and just doing that you'll, it will, I literally reckon that 20 minutes, especially the Miracle Morning, there's one on there as part of the
best
free.
book ever.
The
So
free
good.
one.
Such a great book.
I've got...
I moved them downstairs.
That book is a game changer. So literally, The Miracle Morning, Blinkist, download the app. That's probably my main thing that I really wanted to get through. It's freaking epic.
Yeah, and practice. Practice the roots wherever you can. If there's a few things you can remember, it's the 1, smile, 2, gratitudes. Where can you have the gratitudes? And 3, remember that happiness does come from the inner happiness. Yeah. So in the moments where you feel that you can start to grow your roots, keep growing them, and keep growing them, especially now during this time. Where can you grow your roots?